The FDA recently gave the okay to a new at-home test for chlamydia and gonorrhea. This is the first time such tests will be available over the counter. Before now, they were actually only done at doctors' offices. The tests could help drive earlier detection and treatment for those particular complicated series of words. Those particular sexually transmitted diseases. There we go.
This morning, our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, joins us to weigh in. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning, guys.
So these tests for like STIs, like chlamydia and gonorrhea, how do they work?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. We are putting the power in the hands of the consumer, just like we did with the COVID test. And the idea here is if you think you might have an infection, or even if you're asymptomatic, you've had a lot of partners, you can order the test online yourself without a prescription. You can collect the swab yourself, mail it in, and then if it comes back positive, they'll actually connect you with a doctor to get started on treatment right away.
Now, there's got to be a reason this hasn't been done before. What are some of the drawbacks they're looking about doing
Well,
this?
they do actually have at-home testing for these particular illnesses, but it hasn't actually been cleared by the FDA. So the accuracy of those tests has been called in question because they're not regulated. So now this is the first time the FDA in several decades has said, we are going to take charge of this because the chlamydia and gonorrhea epidemic has sort of taken off so much that we really need to put a high quality test in people's hands because, to your point, if the test is not a good test, it could give you a false positive or a false negative. And we also need to educate people on how to collect the specimens because just like with COVID, if you don't do it right, it could come out negative and give you a fake out.
Right, and if you have a bad result, then you risk spreading the infection even further.
So is this something that you only can get online and it's mailed to you? It's not something that you're going to be able to get in a store?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
But this is the first time the FDA is really regulating these tests. And to me, I think it's opening up sort of a new paradigm in how we think about medicine, which is medicine at our hands, at our convenience. So instead of us going to the doctor's office, which can have barriers in terms of insurance and time off work and what have you, you put it in people's hands. Because the thing about these illnesses, many times they're asymptomatic and they're so common. And with kind of our sexual behaviors recently, we've seen a really large upspike.
Right.
And we know that certain populations are higher risks, are teens and adolescents. People of color, and then gay and bisexual men in particular. So if we can raise awareness, make it easy for people to test themselves, even if they're asymptomatic, we can treat it easily with antibiotics and prevent the long-term consequences.
Now, I have a question because as you're saying, they are asymptomatic. So even if you have these at-home tests, when is it time to actually use those tests? Right.
So about 30% of people might have symptoms like burning when they urinate or vaginal burning, burning in the cervix. But if you're that 70% that doesn't have symptoms but has a lot of sexual partners or has been exposed to somebody that might have tested positive, you certainly want to test yourself because the problem with leaving these infections untreated, especially in women, they can climb up into our pelvis and cause infertility, pelvic inflammatory disease, long-term consequences, and really kind of change the course of a young woman's life, if you can imagine.
Right.
When will these tests be available?
Well, hopefully soon. They're putting them out there. There's a huge debate in the medical community about whether or not the FDA should even get involved, because the concern is if the FDA starts regulating them, will the cost go up, making that almost prohibitive? I feel actually that the insurance companies, if the FDA does regulate them, will be obligated to cover them, and maybe we can make them free with insurance or very affordable for people that don't have insurance. But I'm hoping it gets out to the consumer very soon. Now, this isn't the catch-all because it doesn't catch syphilis, for example, which we also know is going up in prevalence.
Right.
But it certainly, to me, is a step in the right direction, again, that we're taking control of our own health. And we've learned a lot of lessons from the pandemic, which is that you put something in people's hands, they're more likely to use it.
Yeah, increasing that accessibility, which we talk about here a lot on this show. All right, Dr. Kohli, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.